Hey guys, this is Chesser. Welcome to my Small Gang Archetype support series. This is going to be part one of a four-part support-focused series of videos, and today I'm going to be covering the damping ships and their use in fleets, so the Mallus, the Carries, Celestis, Lachesis, and Arazu. By the end of this video, you should be able to know how to fit them, how to fly them, what their uses are, and what are some great tactics that you can use on grid in order to ensure that you're providing the absolute best type of damping support for your FC.
Point malediction.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
I'll point. I've got point on the Tristan.
Malediction down.
All right, good.
Rifter.
And I've got point on the Rifter as well. I'm scramming the Rifter.
Okay, nice.
I have point on Tristan.
web of the Rifter.
I have point on
Okay,
Tristan.
I'm going with I'm
All right.
Rifter.
All right. All right. Cool. I got Tristan's gonna go down here. Tristan's down.
Frag the Rifter right quick.
Yep. I'm reloading after Rifter.
Point on
Okay,
Rifter.
nice.
Okay, the rapier warped off.
Alright. Let's
Careful's
burn back in.
red box on me. Careful's
Let's
not
burn
doing
back in.
damage,
Let's
though.
burn back in.
Okay.
Can someone kill these drones, please?
Caracal of Maniac. Caracal of Maniac.
Oh fuck.
Point on the
Burn, you okay?
Caracal.
Yeah. No.
Point on
Give us
Caracal.
Valk, so you can outrun, dude. I don't have good
Alright.
cap
Point
right
on
now.
Caracal of Maniac. Can we get damage on, please?
Yeah, I'm coming on, dude. I don't have cap
Okay,
with
let's
him.
get
Damage on,
damage.
damage on.
Alright.
Okay,
Good. Good.
I'm
Good.
locking
Good
it
job.
I have to do
again.
damage from 40.
Let me know if you can
I
get
can't
point.
tank.
Wild.
I have a TP on me.
I can.
Fuck.
Alright. We'll go for Vexers next.
Okay,
I
sounds
may
good.
die. I'm trying to warp.
Warp.
I'm trying.
Alright. Inquisitor
Okay,
in the Vexer.
Vexers.
Inquisitor in the Vexer. Inquisitor in the Vexer.
Okay, I'm burning in.
I'm off.
I don't have cap to burn.
Let's
dude.
just see. Let's
Good
just see
job,
if we can volley through them with their.
I just want to preface this video by saying that all of the carries piloting is done by Mining Industry Exile Foundation's Brainstraw, who is the carries wizard. As he is slowly just repping up his EHP, I just want to start the commentary, and that way I can better highlight for you some of the decisions that a good carries pilot has to make while flying small gang. I'm also going to highlight his use of modules and positioning in order to be as effective as possible inside the fleet. The support position of the damp ship is extremely crucial for the success of the gang because a support ship really allows you to leverage the E-War ability that damps can bring in allowing you to be a force multiplier. Taking out recons and Logi from the fight at clutch times really can help your gang turn a fight around. Landing back on the grid, Brainstraw has to make a number of decisions very quickly. The first thing that he does is damp and point the rapier, which is a great decision because all recons, and certainly rapiers and Lachesis, with their ability to apply tackle and webs out to 90 kilometers, is very, very deadly to our small gang fleet. Also, you can see that he's locking up Logi ships. Another crucial point for damping ships is to stop and block reps. They can do this by lowering the Logi range, or lock range of Logi significantly, which will allow us to kill a cruiser or ship that has gone too far outside of their now reduced range. This can sometimes allow for some clutch kills, and really excellent communication needs to happen between the FC and the damping ship, so that way damps can be applied right at the moment when the FC is calling for a primary target to receive DPS. As you can see here, the Carries is a very long-range ship and is very content to sit out at 70-80 kilometers, which is very nice for it. It's a fairly low-tanked frigate, and the enemy FC in this gang is still trying to primary Brainstraw with Target Painter and drones. He is running his rep, trying to stay on the grid as long as possible, providing damps to the Logi and the Rapier, allowing us to continually stay on the grid. This is where an active tanked carries really shines, because as you can see, he's forced off multiple times during this fight, but thanks for his ability to regen EHP quickly while warping off and warping back, he's able to stay and still provide effective coverage with his damps. Personally, I think that support is the best role for new players and for old players trying something new in small gang to attempt first. The reason why I say that is because the support playstyle allows you to have a general overwatch of the small gang fight, and it'll help you learn ship types very quickly. A support player needs to be very focused on enemy logi and recons and understand different lock ranges and how effective their damps can be against certain targets. Lastly, it also requires excellent communication, which is something that almost everyone can improve on. Now that that's been said, let's look at some EFT files in order to give you an idea of some of the capabilities of some of the damping ships in this support class. In case you don't know, the tool that I'm using here is called eFitting tool, and I think it's a great resource for anyone that's looking to take PvP to the next level or just fitting ships in a more intelligent way. The first ship that I have brought up for you here is the Mallus, and I think it's a great ship for anyone wanting to try the support damping role in a small gang. And the reason why I say that is because it's a Tech 1 frigate, it's very unassuming, and it's very cheap. As you can see here, it has all the tools needed to be an effective damping ship. The rigs and mid-slots are going to be mirrored throughout all the ships I'm going to show you, so I'm just going to quickly explain them now. The small iconic field projector is just going to help with the targeting range, which on the Mallus is now 122 before links, which is really great. Unfortunately, signal field projectors, which increase the strength of your damps, require a lot of calibration points, so unless you would like to Tech 2 this or drop a rig slot, really you can only have one, and I'm trying to keep this fit a little bit cheaper, so that's why I've only shared Tech 1 here with more locking range rigs, which will make you at least a little bit better if you were to get in a damp war with someone else. Mid-slots, I believe that the restrained micro warp drive is the best bet here just because it's going to help with your signature the most. You're a T1 frigate after all, and you have no signature reduction with NWD, so you can fit, of course, a dead space NWD or a little bit cheaper option like this. Now, the phase Muon sensor disruptors are the metaphor, and they can be a little bit expensive, but they are by far the best damps. If your bank account cannot afford that kind of priciness on a Tech 1 frigate, feel free to interchange them with what you see fit. Down below is pretty self-explanatory in the low slots, basically just looking to get an adequate tank. I really think the ancillary armor rep is important here because when you warp in and warp off the grid from taking too much damage, you can rep up your EHP and not be forced to stay off the grid from light drones all the time. The things to note of the Mallus of why I think it's very effective, it can do basically 80% of the job of a carries, is it has the same damping power, it just doesn't have that awesome long point and scram range bonus that the carries does have. However, the Mallus is very fast. It goes 3.1 without heat, and with heat, almost 4.5 kilometers a second. This is before links, so very nice there. It is cap stable once you have good skills, but you should just be pulsing your MWD anyway. And for the price, I think it's an excellent ship. Now, let's start talking about damps and why they're so effective. Let's take a big predator of the Mallus, the Orthrus, and how could the Mallus fight the Orthrus? Now, a single damp with a targeting range script will decrease the targeting range by 55%, which is extreme. Loaded onto the Orthrus, you can bring its targeting range down to 27 kilometers. If you heat your damp, the targeting range is now 21 kilometers. Now, with no heat, and let's say you just threw all your damps on him, that Orthrus is going to have a targeting range of 9 kilometers. That's impressive, and that's a lot of power. Just to give you another idea here, we have a Hugin, another very deadly ship to a small gang ship. And let's see what you can do to that. Now, recons have incredible targeting range. Their base targeting range is about 150. With a single damp, you drop him to 70 kilometers, and with two, he's down to 36. Which basically means that you can take him out of the fight, and his long-range webs, which can potentially reach out to 80k, no longer can touch you there. Again, with 3 damps on, you can bring him to 24 kilometers, almost nothing. This ability for the damping ships to basically take ships out of the fight is extremely clutch, and why they're such a potent force multiplier and why I love having them in fleet. Here's a Logi ship, the Scimitar, base targeting range of 75 kilometers. Now, if you have Mallus damps on it, a single damp will bring that targeting range down to 33 kilometers, which means it can only rep ships within 30k of it. If you put 2 on, it's 17, and I'm not even heating the damps yet. If you want to see something even more crazy, heat the damps, give the carries links to boost the power of damps, and you can bring a Scimitar down to 5k lock range with 2 heated damps. That is power, and that is why having a good damping pilot in your fleet is extremely effective and a great force multiplier for any small gang. So I'm just going to close the Mallus here. The next ship I'm going to bring up to show you is the Carries, which is fit very similar to the Mallus. As you can see, it's a little bit slower. Targeting range is nice. I've put Tech 2 rigs on the Carries just to kind of respect that it's a T2 electronic attack, and you can probably afford to put it on there. Without the MAR going, it has excellent cap. And I just want to kind of highlight the warp disruption range bonus on the carries. A Tech 2 warp disruptor with heat and no links goes up to 50k. So that means that you can stay back very, very far, still pointing ships, and making sure that very important or high priority targets are still tackled. If you get skirmish links, that goes up to 65 kilometers, and if you want to put a lot of bling on your carries, we can throw a Republic fleet warp disruptor which is 70k base, and with heat you can be targeting someone out to 82 kilometers and preventing them to warp, which is absolutely incredible. The last two ships that I'm just going to cover here are the Lotuses and the Arazu. Here's the Lotuses fit that, excuse me, I should back up. The Celestis is the next ship in line, and Celestis is also a great ship. Now, the Celestis, unlike the Lotuses and the Arazu, has a optimal range bonus, which means that its damps are going to have a better chance of being more effective at a longer range than, say, the Lotuses, which is only 45 kilometers. Now, the Celestis trades the optimal range bonus and does not have any warp disruption bonus, but again, like the Mallus, is still a very capable ship for a T1 cruiser. Now, this is unlinked, no implants, it goes 2k a second without heat, and with heat it's going almost 3k a second. So it's a fast ship, and it can sport a nice tank thanks to that XLASB that I placed on it. Again, the bonuses to the damps are the same as the Mallus and the carries, so minus the targeting, minus the long range point, you still have these wonderful damps. With links put in place, it's going 2500 without heat, 3600 with heat, and its tank becomes 722. Again, that's very, very nice for a T1 cruiser that's essentially going to be sitting at 60 to 70 kilometers away from the fight. Celestis is an excellent ship, and I cannot speak more highly about it. An upgrade of the Celestis is, of course, the Lotuses, which I also prefer to fit with an XLASB. The Lotuses has that wonderful warp disruption bonus, and as you can see here, just a single RF warp disruptor, no heat, no links, 60 kilometers, extremely impressive. Heating to 70, but if you do throw links on it, it has a 93 kilometer long point, which is just jaw-dropping. Of course, you can trade out this long point and put another damp, or you can add in scrams as you like. I prefer to fly my Lotuses like this, but that's just me. The Arazu, very similar to the Lotuses, is basically the exact same fitting, except it has a covert cloak, and it drops the one damp because it doesn't have as many mid slots. But again, they're quite similar in speed and tank. And it's really nice to have that lovely Tech 2 bonus. But as you can see, the Arazu and the Lotuses are fairly similar in basically all aspects. Now that we've kind of gotten over that boring part of talking about numbers and math, let's go back to some video footage and see if we can get a better idea of some clutch plays that a great damping pilot can use. In this next clip I'm going to show you, it's again Brainstraw flying from his point of view in the carries, but our fleet is 2 Scythe fleet issues and an Oman Navy issue engaging a fairly large gain in Aquarius. I hope that you can enjoy. As you can see here, we open up the fight and they're slowly escalating. We have a Lotuses taking quite a bit of damage here as he's a little bit out of position, and thanks to the wonderful damps of the carries, we're keeping his long scram and sometimes that scary long point off of us. The carries in this video is using a great use of all of his damps to make sure that ships near him, such as the Caracal, that might be getting into damage range, is damped, so that way he isn't taking rapid light missile fire, which can kill the carries very, very quickly. As a carries pilot, you need to use your damps defensively, positioned correctly, while also making sure that priority targets are being damped, such as this Lotus here. As you can see, as soon as the Basilisk starts to land on grid, immediately all damps are placed on Basilisk in order to stop it from repping some of the ships that are a little bit out of position. And this is really clutch here because we have a fairly low DPS gang, and a single Basilisk is going to make it difficult to almost impossible for us to kill anything. Here again, we have another Caracal that's isolated itself, and you can see how Brainstraw is flipping around his damps. He's keeping 2 on the Basilisk, preventing it from repping this very caught out of position Caracal, as well as keeping a single damp on the Caracal, allowing him to stay nearby and point it without fear of getting RLML fire up and destroyed almost immediately. As they slowly start to increase the size of their gang, we need to start looking to try to draw the gang out and seeing if we can get some more kills. The Caracal goes down here in short order, and Brainstraw is again just in the perfect position. He's keeping a point on something with his long point from the carries to make sure that if they would all warp off now, the Caracal would be left and we would at least get another kill, possibly extending the fight or forcing the fight to continue at the very least. coming back like this, we're kind of seeing if any ship will want to isolate, and some of our RLML ships, particularly the Scythe fleets, are reloading. Here we see an Orthrus, which, as you've seen many times in the video in my past, many inexperienced pilots do fly them, and because of their speed, they're quickly able to isolate themselves if the pilot isn't aware of where they are on the grid. Now, we're letting the Orthrus burn into us, and I'm communicating with Brainstraw, and as he's communicating with me, that no damps are being placed on anyone to allow the Orthrus to feel safe and burning right at us. He has multiple Logi on the field, and his gang outnumbers ours about 2 to 3 to 1, so he should feel fairly safe. Now here, the application of the damps are placed. One on the Orthrus to allow the carries to stay near him without getting killed by his 600 plus DPS RLML fire, as well as 2 damps on the nearest Logi. This is clutch because as I go in for a scram and fully commit on this Orthrus, it's going to allow me to get the kill thanks to the mispositioning of the Orthrus pilot, along with the clutch damps preventing any of his Logi from repping him back from what little DPS we can actually do to him. As the Orthrus starts to go down here, the carries is keeping a point on it as we're slowly trying to pull range. The Myrmidon and some other ships are also burning fairly close to us at this point, but that's all, you know, not super important to the carries. He's doing his job perfectly at this time, staying right at the long point range, making sure that the big high priority targets are damped, and staying well out of the way of any stray RLML fire or any frigates that may land on the grid. This is just some excellent play and some excellent positioning. As the fight continues to develop, I think you should take special note here of the positioning of our carries pilot, staying right where he needs to be. You know, it's one thing to just burn off 70 to 80 kilometers away from the entire gang and apply damps. It's another thing to be able to stay close by and still be useful with your long point. And that's exactly what Brainstraw is doing here with just some excellent play. You know, with the development of the fight, they have so many Logi on the grid right now that it's going to be difficult for our 3 anti-support cruisers to essentially break anything. We're trying to see what we can do to this Myrmidon, but, you know, it's becoming very, very useless to do anything here. Because of that, we're attempting to see if we can find any other out-of-position targets and maybe coordinate a way for us to damp the multiple Logi, while also trying to attack a target that may not have as much of a generous tank as the Myrmidon does. As you can see here, we're starting to focus a little bit on the Caracal, who is slightly out of position, again, thanks to the ability for Brainstraw to just cycle damps and to keep both of those Logis shut down and unable to rep him. Now, this is a little bit dangerous piloting here because he is right on the edge of Caracal RLML fire, and if the Caracal has long-range hydraulic rigs in, might be able to hit him here. But because of the necessity to keep those Logis off the Caracal, he's needing to use all of his damps aggressively and none defensively, but is still managing to keep that long point, which is really helping us out here because all of our cruisers are being forced off the grid slowly by their long-range DPS from rail thoraxes and the multiple Proteus and Cerberus and all of that jazz. Unfortunately, we're just unable to really finish off the kill at this time, so it's taking a little bit longer than we wanted to. They're still continuing to escalate, and a Celestis warps onto the grid, and you notice immediately that Brainstraw is targeting it. A damp war needs to ensue, and he needs to focus on the Celestis more so than the Logi right now, because if he gets shut down by the Celestis, he's going to be ineffective. As you can see, he immediately heats 2 damps on the Celestis right away and gets that Celestis shut down, and he wins the damp war here. It's really nice having frigate level of lock speed because it allows you to fight other damping ships that are maybe cruisers and have the ability to, you know, shut them down before they can shut you down. Now you can see he's also cycling damps off to the Tengu, which is again a rail Tengu, which is going to be able to apply excellent damage to Brainstraw. He's staying at the edge of the gang along with the rest of our anti-support cruisers and just keeping the most dangerous ships off of us. We're having a difficult time staying in range just because of their projected DPS and the fact that we don't have any Logi flying with us slow our shield tanks, and in the case of the Oman Navy, armor tanks are slowly breaking. Again, we're just trying to play the fight out and look for a mistake. Thanks to the wonderful damps that we have, you know, we can try to force mistakes much more easily and help leverage the E-war that the carries can bring to the field. Again, the RLML ships are just backing off and reloading. We're attempting to see if we can reload to a high damage ammo and maybe try and go in for a Caracal here. So we're discussing that. And during this time, you know, Brain's just making sure that all of the super long range projection ships, such as the Tengu, and the very annoying damping ships are staying off of us and allowing us to still be combat effective. This Caracal is very much isolated, and we're debating on going in for it. And the call is made and damage is being applied. You can see now Brainstraw is moving in and switches his damps to the Caracal as he's moving closer. The RLML fire is probably one of the most dangerous things that a frigate has to worry about in this game. An RLML, if it, they can shoot at you in a Cerberus's case from, many hundreds of kilometers away and can do extreme amounts of DPS. And thanks to the application bonuses, they can kill you. As you can see, the Celestis is still soaking up most of the damping power because, again, if that ship were to become undamped, it could wreck our entire gang. Thankfully, the Caracal goes down thanks to some great damping on Brainstraw's part and a little bit of misplay. All in all, it was a great fight. Wrapping up the video here, I hope that you enjoyed the first part of my 4-part series on support. We covered damps today, and just to recap, let's talk about the important things a damp pilot needs to know. The number 1 is positioning. You want to make sure that you are out of the way of RLML and sniper fire that can kill your Mallus or carries quickly, or high DPS in the case of the cruisers such as the Celestis and the Lachesis. Secondly, you definitely need to have great communication. Talking with your FC, telling where you're prioritizing damps and where the damps are on and off really helps you leverage all of the power that your damps can bring. Thirdly, you definitely need to have a great ability to look at the grid and find ships that are very problematic, like recons, other electronic attack ships, or Logi. Being able to damp and pick those ships out quickly will allow you to win damp wars, shut down Logi quickly before they can apply reps, and, in some cases, save fleet members in case they're webbed or scrammed from long distances. All of these things take a while to learn, but will help you in the long run to become an excellent pilot if you decide to choose this position to start to learn small gang from. I think it's a really great ship and a really great role type, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two in this video. Take care and fly safe.
So high, motherfuckers wanna find me. First niggas gotta find me. What's 50 grand to a motherfucker like me? Can you please remind me? Ball so high, this shit crazy. Y'all don't know, they don't shit phase me. The nights could go 0 for 82 when I look at you like this shit gravy. Ball so high, this shit weird.